last few days, there's been a lot of outrage in India's Aligarh city, home to the famous Aligarh Muslim University. The controversy is over a portrait that used to hang in one of the halls of the university. The issue began on the 1st of May when a BJP minister wrote to the vice chairman of the university asking him to explain why a portrait of Jinnah was on display. Soon after the letter this was sent, protests broke out. Members of a fringe group tried to enter the university. They clashed with the students. The reason why this portrait exists is because Muhammad Ali Jinnah, the man who is often blamed for the partition of India, was given a life membership of the university's union. Reports say the AMU students do not want this portrait to be removed. The situation still remains tense at the university. Today, internet services on campus were shut down. Section 144, which relates to unlawful assembly, was imposed in the city. So while there is debate on whether or not Muhammad Ali Jinnah should find a mention or place in Indian schools and universities, Gravitas decided to read some history books for you from across the border. What are students in Bangladesh and Pakistan taught about the freedom struggle? Our team went through texts in high school curriculum in these two countries, and this is what we found. The struggle for independence led by Mahatma Gandhi finds no mention in the school books of Pakistani students. Instead, they blame Gandhi for the gory partition. School students in Bangladesh have their own version of events that transpired before 1947. We'll take you through them in a bit, and I'm assuming most of you are familiar with what is taught here in India. Tonight's cover story on Gravitas explores these three versions of history. And we start with the event that triggered our research, the protests in AMU. Muhammad Ali Jinnah is not only the founding father of Pakistan, he is also a part of India and Pakistan's shared history. 70 years after independence, Jinnah is still a sore subject in India. The controversy at the Aligarh Muslim University is proof that India has not reconciled with its past, and some old wounds still have not healed.
On May the 2nd, protests turned violent outside the Aligarh Muslim University in Uttar Pradesh after the police lobbed tear gas shells at protesting students. These protests were a result of students barging into the university and demanding removal of a portrait of Pakistan's founding father, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Supporters of a right-wing group stormed into the university campus and demanded that the portrait that adorns the Union Hall will be removed. Fearing more backlash, the university administration defended themselves.
जहाँ तक जिन्ना की बात है तो 1938 में प्री पार्टीशन, आपको पता है पार्टीशन से पहले 1938 में वो यहाँ आए थे, तब भारत जाहिर तकसीम नहीं हुई थी, तो उनको यहाँ यूनियन ने अपनी सदस्यता दी थी. तो ये जो है ये प्री पार्टीशन पीरियड है.
A day later, the portrait of Muhammad Ali Jinnah was missing from the wall, a development that raised several questions. The student union of the university tried to save face and claimed that it was not just Jinnah's portrait but also others that were removed, and that much should not be read into it.
यूनियन के हाल से कोई तस्वीर हटाई नहीं गई है, अलबत्ता 2-3 तस्वीरें जिन पे गर्दा पड़ी थी, डस्ट, तो उनको सफाई के लिए वहाँ नीचे किया गया अपनी प्लेस से.
जिन्ना की तस्वीर कहाँ गई?
जिन्ना की तस्वीर भी वही है,
लगी हुई है.
सारी तस्वीरें वहीं लगी हुई है, बस सफाई चल रही है वहाँ हाल की.
The controversy began when the Member of Parliament from Aligarh, Satish Gautam, wrote to the Vice-Chancellor of the university and sought a justification for putting up Jinnah's portrait, which has been hanging at the university since 1938. But the fact that he conveniently ignored was that, as per AMU's tradition, its student union grants honorary memberships to prominent personalities, and pictures of all these members, including Jinnah and Mahatma Gandhi, adorn the university's office walls. There has been no response from the state government so far, or any arrest in the case. But the university students are determined to ensure justice is meted out, even threatening to escalate the issue with the National Human Rights Commission if the state administration fails to do its job. The Aligarh Muslim University is not new to controversies, and this is no different. But can anyone deny that Muhammad Ali Jinnah is a crucial part of India's history? Bureau Report, WION.
Now to what's being called the biggest FDI deal in India. It's been in the works for several months now. In an exclusive news break where industry insiders spoke to WION, we can tell you that US multinational retailing giant Walmart is set to acquire a majority stake in Flipkart, India's biggest e-commerce retailer. Neither Flipkart nor Walmart has commented publicly on this development so far. There was intense speculation for several months over whether this deal would go through or not. Spicing up the speculation was Amazon. It's Flipkart's closest rival in India. Amazon had bid to acquire 60% stake in Flipkart. That bid has now reportedly failed. Flipkart is valued at $20 billion. It was co-founded by former Amazon executives Binny and Sachin Bansal in 2007. So what do we know about this deal so far? Once it takes the final shape, Flipkart Walmart deal is likely to be the biggest case of foreign direct investment or FDI in India. This deal is estimated to be worth anywhere between $12 to $14 billion. Initially, reports said that the original Flipkart management team would be shown the door, but now we've learned that one of the founding members will continue. The management team is expected to be left unchanged. Friendly investors of Walmart such as Tencent, Tiger Global and Google will also be a part of this deal. And most importantly, this will be a partnership. This will not be an acquisition as was being reported earlier. The partnership between India's biggest e-commerce company and one of the world's largest retail players is, of course, an exciting prospect, not just for business watchers, but also for consumers. More competition, remember, means cheaper products. India will now be the battleground for the world's two top retail giants, Walmart and Amazon.
This could be a potentially game-changer partnership for the Indian retail space. Flipkart and Walmart want to join hands, and it is now being touted as a step towards empowering the small retail shops or kirana stores in India. On the face of it, the possibility of the companies willing to work together for the small players seems unlikely. Flipkart only operates in the e-commerce space, and Walmart is known for its big retail stores. But both companies want to try a different approach for the Indian market. Sources who are in the know of negotiations have told WION that Walmart is not keen on opening big retail stores. This is mainly due to the high real estate cost for big box retail. The company is keen on leveraging local shops in our neighborhoods as they serve a last mile connectivity point for the business. The partnership between Flipkart and Walmart goes beyond the money. Walmart, which operates retail stores in the United States, brings with it talent and the know-how required for the business. The company has been trying to make inroads in emerging markets like India after facing some difficult times in the West. Walmart recently agreed to cede control of Asda, the company's grocery chain in the United Kingdom. This was a part of Walmart's global strategy to prioritize its efforts in countries like India. Walmart's proposal to invest in Flipkart comes at a critical time. Amazon, which is the closest competitor of Flipkart in the Indian market, has been expanding aggressively. The company has committed more than $5 billion and continues to launch new products and services for its customers. Intense competition between these two companies could mean more choices for the consumers and possibly even cheaper prices for everyday products. Bureau Report, WION.
It's been 3 years since the conflict began in Yemen. It's the war that the world has ignored. Rockets have been raining, the people of Yemen have been isolated, medicines are drying up and now food is hard to find. Millions have been left starving. It's the world's worst humanitarian crisis according to the United Nations, and as always, children are the worst sufferers. Take a look at this report and let me warn you, the images could be disturbing.
Fatma Halabi has lost her 8-month-old baby to the war in Yemen. Her son Fadl died of acute malnutrition.
I gave birth to him between the trees. I returned here and we sat in this house. Days later, he got sick, feverish. I don't know, he was fragile. He was in a very bad shape, just as you saw.
Lack of basic medical facilities has added to the woes of people caught in this never-ending war.
There are no IV solutions or any of the basic medicines, not even Panadol for fever. Many organizations come here but don't provide medicine, or it doesn't reach us. This means that the patient comes to stay, but there is no difference between his stay here or at home.
According to UNICEF, more than 400,000 children are severely malnourished and fighting for their lives in the country. Health Ministry officials are unable to do anything and are making desperate calls for help.
The vaccinations are not available. We can't give plumpy nut for malnutrition. We don't have any.
With money and food supplies running short, the orphan-starved and malnourished mothers are a helpless lot.
If you look, you will see that the mother is malnourished. What do you expect to give to the child if she suffers from this problem of malnutrition?
Nearly every child in Yemen is in need of humanitarian assistance. But these calls for help are dying out within the walls of this country. The world and West Asia in general is looking the other way. Bureau Report, WION.
Either looking the other way or stirring this pot further. It's hard to imagine that the tiny United Arab Emirates, UAE, with armed forces numbering around 100,000 men, would have military strategic ambitions, but they do. Emirati forces have been in Yemen for the last 3 years, and while their achievements on the battlefield are debatable, they appear all set to capitalize nevertheless. Emirati troops have been steadily moving into Socotra. This is an island off the coast of Yemen. The island's location is key. It guards the approaches to the Gulf of Aden and is just 240 kilometers from the Horn of Africa. It sits on the lines of communication in the Arabian Sea. It will be one of the chain of naval bases the UAE is setting up with Saudi Arabia in the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. The others are Port Sudan, Asab in Eritrea and Mukalla in Yemen, as well as Djibouti, Berbera and Bosaso. The aim is to better safeguard oil routes, curtail Iranian expansion, secure the Saudi coast. Reports say Socotra will be the hub where the UAE will be deploying 12,000 Special Forces personnel. Under construction are anchorages for warships, a huge airbase, a communication and command center, air defense and shore missile batteries and other infrastructure. There are unconfirmed reports that Yemen's President Mansour Hadi has leased Socotra to the UAE for 99 years. On what terms, it's not clear. Hadi himself is now accusing the UAE of bad faith. Rumours doing the rounds say the UAE carried out its own census of Socotra's 60,000 residents recently. It may be planning to hold a referendum where the residents may be asked to decide whether they want to remain with Yemen or join the UAE. Yemenis fear the UAE's money power will be used to ensure residents vote in favour of secession. So it's getting worse in the country of Yemen. Now to why a Swedish dish, the national dish of Sweden, has flown into international headlines. This is news that will bring a smile upon the face of Turks across the globe, and it's news that could just change your entire perception of culture and cuisine. Take a look.
Stockholm has officially confessed that Sweden's signature national dish, Swedish meatballs, is in fact Turkish. An official Twitter confirmation from the government stated, and I quote, "Swedish meatballs are actually based on a recipe King Charles XII brought home from Turkey in the early 18th century. Let's stick to the facts." History chronicles how Charles and his army took refuge at Moldova, which was then part of the Ottoman Empire, in 1709, after losing a key battle against Russia. Having acquired a taste for local cuisine, Charles returned to Sweden in 1714 with a recipe not just for kofte, the spiced lamb and beef meatballs that became the Swedish staple köttbullar. Swedish meatballs are traditionally consumed with creamy brown sauce, mashed or boiled potatoes and lingonberry jam, a sweet condiment from Europe. Their global fame today can be partly credited to its presence on the food menu in IKEA superstores around the world. That IKEA's popular dish is not Swedish but Turkish has arrived as big news to the employees and shoppers at the Scandinavian giant.
There are many dishes which have a different background and which are served in other countries they're connected to. So I hope that people find this as exciting as I do, that one thinks something is Swedish when in fact it's not.
When meatballs come to mind, one cannot think of anything more Swedish. So this is something I haven't heard before.
While the news has shocked Swedish palates, setting the record straight is reason enough for Turks to rejoice. Akanksha Swaroop, WION.